Baseball is dead.
Rest in peace.
It's a big celebratory episode today. Major celebratory episode. We're celebrating the success of certain Major League Baseball players. Some achievements greater than others, some would say. But I think I don't even want to say the greatest, but because I don't know, it's tomato. They're two great achievements. We have a Baines meter celebration today, and also Justin Havens has won an Emmy for his Nuggs segment on Baseball is Dead. That's incredible. That is absolutely an Emmy. Congratulations, Justin Havens. Unbelievable.
I need something. I need some sort of like speech.
Yeah, speech. Yeah. Talk to us.
Well, I mean, I remember all the way back on my grandfather's farm when I first, looked at my first chicken, saw the first egg, and thought, I know what this can be. I know where this can go.
Yeah.
I think about my grandfather at times like this, and he never lived on a farm, and that story never happened. But this is a culmination of a lifetime of work, and I can't say enough about how honored I am that the Telly Awards found it suitable to honor me. And it does say Justin Havens there. Baseball is dead. We're not sure where the other trophies are yet, or maybe they're not coming. But either way, they made sure to prioritize me, and we're saying it's a win for the Nuggs segment. And I think everybody who listens to the pod would agree. So thank you so much to the Telly Awards. Thank you to you guys. When I first started out on this podcast, I was but a little stat boy. And you guys have allowed me to grow and to fly. And I think the Telly Award that I'm holding in my hand right here is a perfect representation of that. So thank you to you. Thank you to the listeners. Thanks to Jake.
And the
thank
Academy.
You to the Telly Awards.
And
the Academy and Underdog and my parents and Allie and my kids, Isla and Leo. I love you guys so much. Susie, Peter, I wouldn't be here without you guys. Brandon, Dylan, you guys, my brothers, I love you. Thank you guys. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy, man. That's crazy.
Tremendous.
Yeah,
Tremendous.
that's over a decade of hard work, perseverance. And
can't coach that.
No, absolutely not. You can guide it. You can't coach it. That's not created in a lab somewhere. So
and I think I deserve an additional credit for showing up today. You know what I mean? A lot of people would get this and just say, well, that's it. But here I am on Monday. I'm not only participating in the pod, I've got my full sack of Nuggs. We're going to do Baines meter, the whole thing, baby. So
And that's that right there. That right
I'm going to
there
get emotional if we keep talking about it. So,
That's why you're holding the trophy, because you do not let the awards define you.
Not at all. Not at all. And you know what? That's probably the last time we'll ever mention the Telly Award that I won just for me for the Nuggs on Baseball is Dead.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like it.
I think what you have to do is get some sort of floating shelf to have it. A tattoo to commemorate the occasion, but also some sort of floating shelf with LED display so that it's just constantly rotating in the background.
Guys, I have a really important announcement too, and I think this is a perfect bookend to the celebration.
What is it?
My Telly Award that I won, and that as of right now nobody knows. Let's just kind of hold on to that nobody else won. Because the update is that everyone on Baseball is Dead and Section 10 and One Last Ride are getting a Telly for their corresponding awards.
Wow.
They shipped half out on Thursday, half are going out tomorrow, so everyone should have one by the end of the week.
That sounds like I'll have
get
two.
Them all repacked.
Sounds like I'll have two.
You will. They won't be the first one, but you will. You will have two. A couple other people will have two. I'm assuming. Eamon will have two.
Eamon will have two.
Eamon will have. Eamon might have three.
He'll have three.
He might have three.
That motherfucker gets all the awards. You know what I'm saying? Like he
fucking three-piece even
at Nesson, he's got like a trophy case of just Emmys upon Emmys upon Emmys. But it's about time I had a goddamn trophy. You know what I'm saying? Like it's been since like what my first year of farm league. I got a trophy.
I'm really happy for you guys that we get to celebrate this as a group now.
Yeah,
because it did feel a little bit awkward. And with all due respect to Eamon's, rows and rows of Emmys, I think we just go ahead and put those in the garbage now.
Yeah,
and make room for the BID Section 10 One Last Ride Tellys.
Yeah.
Yep.
Go ahead and melt those down and turn that into a chess piece.
Yep.
We got your real hardware now, pal.
What even is an Emmy? Who cares?
Yeah.
There's more letters in a telly.
Yeah, I'm a telly guy.
Yeah.
I'm a telly guy. I've been a telly guy. We need to raise the air of prestige that surrounds a telly, because really at the end of the day, the people that made an Emmy important, they're all dead.
Mm-hmm.
Like the people that thought of the idea and maybe people are finding out about tellies for the first time today, and that's okay. But the Emmys had to start somewhere too. They had to start somewhere too. There had to be a year one of that as well. So congrats to us. We're the fucking best.
Telly's picking up steam. No, it's picking up steam.
Yep. And so is the Underdog Fantasy app. I'm glad you brought that up, Dallas. Because Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports. Playing their pick'em game is as simple as selecting higher or lower on player stats like strikeouts, total bases, home runs, and so much more. Dallas, did you have the balls to put out a pick'em today, or are you kind of taking a break after the recent non-success that you've had?
Well, no, it was the recent access, the lack of success in access, but we've got that rectified. We've got that clarified. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I've already put a, I've already put a boost together, a pack together, if you will.
Yeah.
We're going Barrios. We're going Baz. We're going DeGrom. We're going Sanchez. And I might even fuck around and throw another one on there. I'm just feeling aggressive today.
Who are the Rays playing?
I'm not sure. I have to go back and look.
So you have someone making picks for you, is what you're saying? You don't actually do your own research, or?
No, I did. I did my research at 6 o'clock this morning.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, because I'm just saying, like, when I make my picks, like, I'd be able to tell you, like, what, pitcher, what team a guy's facing. It's like, oh, I made this pick because, he's going up against this shit bum or whatever. Yeah. But I guess you can't do that.
Yeah, I can't remember it off the top of my head. Okay. I look at the opponent. I look at the where they're at and in what category.
Do you think maybe you'd be able to recall better if you didn't abuse marijuana?
Well, you saw what I just did 3 minutes before we came on this podcast. So
okay.
I mean,
yeah, sure.
It's an off day. It's an off day.
Yeah, make sure you sign up with the promo code Jared. That's JARED to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash and a special pick on Underdog. That's Underdog Fantasy promo code Jared. I mean, shit. If we're gonna have a big show today, let's have a big fucking show today. You know what I'm saying?
Let's have a big show, and by God, let's have a big year. Because congrats to George Springer, who crossed the Baines line since the last podcast in probably the most emphatic fashion that you possibly can. Springer had 4 homers, 11 RBI, and a 2,400 OPS. That's 2.400 in 3 games in July to push him over the line. He officially crossed as of Friday morning. He also joined George Bell, Blue Jays legend, in 1990 as the only players in Jays franchise history with multiple multi-homer games in a single series against the Yankees. It, of course, that series did, and Springer's performance propelled the Blue Jays into first place in the AL East. Can you imagine anything more dramatic than crossing the Baines line as you send the upstart Blue Jays to a series sweep over the division rival and heavily favored Yankees? He reached the mark in 49% of the games played as Harold Baines. So if you want to think about it this way, Harold Baines had 2 George Springers for his career. And Springer still gets to the famous line, in no time. Springer's current, as of today, 143 OPS plus would be the second best mark of his career. It's an absolutely unbelievable renaissance season for Springer, who frankly looked like he was kind of cooked at points last year. He is the 7th player to join Club 38.8 this season, and the 17th to do so in the modern era, and a very special moment for all of our friends in Toronto, as he is the first to set off the Baines meter in a Blue Jays uniform.
Wow.
Congrats to George Springer. Congrats to the Blue Jays, who, if I may say so, Jared, off of your comments last week, the official team of the 2025 Baseball is Dead podcast.
The award-winning Baseball is Dead podcast.
Baseball is Dead pod. Again, the 7th guy to do it this year. We've been so blessed, and I'm excited because I'm trying to soak this one up because it could be a bit. We've had a run last week when you combined everybody that we got to celebrate was the greatest week in Baines meter history. There is no question. And, you know, you can quibble 2023 versus this season, but I think the level of excitement that we're seeing for the Baines meter and these players, this vast array of different types of players at different ages crossing the line, I've never sensed more excitement for the Baines meter project. And the Institute overall is really, really pleased. So congrats to George.
Yeah. The Institute is fired up. I mean, they've never had more action than 2025. What's the record for a season?
So it is 2023, which 8 people made it in our first year officially doing this. It was 8, then 2 last year, and now 7 this year. And what's going to be fun about this is that while we've been, as I said, we've been spoiled with both the number of people and kind of like the rapid fire nature over the last couple of weeks, the fun now is going to be, can we tie that record? And it's going to take something of, you know, a real effort here, because the 2 guys who have what I'll call realistic chances to do it, one of them is Justin Turner, who we have mentioned multiple times and has been floating around this line all season. In fact, I think he's technically moved backwards.
Yeah.
So that's troubling. And then Matt Olson, who is the real threat here at 37.2 wins above replacement. He obviously needs 1.7 to cross the line. That's totally doable for him over the remaining, you know, whatever it is, 80 games of the season, 79 games of the season. So that'll be exciting to track. But and obviously we're getting him on the pod when that happens, per previous conversations that we all discussed. So that'll be very exciting. Look forward to the Matt Olson interview on Baseball's Dead.
Do we have a list of, do we have the Baines meter roster? Not your D shot, but a Baines meter roster?
Yeah. So like the people who have crossed, like, since we've been doing it? Since
the Baines meter's inception.
Yep.
Can I get a Baines meter roster?
Brother, you sure can. There's nothing I would like to do more. In chronological order, April 6th, 2023, Jason Hayward. April 10th, Starling Marte. May 24th, Aaron Judge. Again, this is all 2023. June 26th, Francisco Lindor. July 17th, Christian Yelich. August 3rd, Marcus Semien. September 4th, Garrett Cole. September 22nd, Xander Bogaerts. That was the end of that season. 24 took until June 22nd last year before we got somebody, but it was worth it. It was Shohei Ohtani. And then September 12th last year, Alex Bregman wrapped up the season. And then this year, it's been April 21st, Matt Chapman. May 22nd, Carlos Santana. June 9th, Juan Soto. June 24th, Trey Turner. We honored both Zack Wheeler and Corey Seager on June 29th. And July 4th, our nation celebrated George Springer.
So Garrett Cole and Zack Wheeler, the only 2 arms on that list.
Yes, sir.
The only 2 arms on that list.
Both.
I mean, for Garrett Cole. Yeah. Wow. Okay. All right.
Yeah. I mean, if the follow-up question here is who's the next pitcher that has a realistic threat to cross the line, it's Aaron Nola.
How far away is he?
35-2. So that's if it's going to be. I mean, first of all, he needs to kind of just get back on track and healthy. Yeah. But that's a next season thing, given how he was pitching. I mean, he made 0 progress this season. He's at 0-0 in 9 starts. So the pitching side is going to need some help.
Yeah,
we do. Yeah, do need some help. Only two fellas representing right now. I mean, I can't really ask for the Ohtani. We know where that damage is coming.
I mean, honestly, the Baines meter situation on the pitching side, I think you could describe as desperate, because Sonny Gray is after that. He's at 33.8. Yu Darvish is after that. I think Yu's probably closer to not accumulating positive wins above replacement than he is on adding 5.5 WAR over the remaining portion of his career. Jose Quintana. We should soak up every pitcher we get, is the point.
Man.
Sounds like the pitching side is a little out of gas. It's a lot of guys that are in the atmosphere that may not have the fuel to get home.
100%.
Yeah.
You're definitely right about that.
Yeah.
And everybody who's got the fuel is not even worth talking about on where they are relative to 38.8.
Yeah.
Yeah, right now. Yeah.
It's too bad. But on the subject of George Springer,
the fucking
perfect
Jays.
place to piggyback to the Toronto Blue Jays. Yeah. I mean,
my God.
I will say this. Flattered, honored, humbled to be a part of the Toronto Blue Jays hype video that they put out.
Our discussion, like when Jayhay hit the thread back, I didn't know what he was talking about, because I didn't really, like, I saw it and I didn't have the volume up on it. And then went back and was like, wow. Well, and I'll say this, I'm going to be doing an interview in Toronto a little later today.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. So I'm sure you've got this on hand. Fucking play it for the people.
Here it is. We only have to play the first few seconds because we're the first voices that are heard in this hype video.
Yeah.
Something's different in the air up there. The electricity.
Outstanding. The Blue Jays have just quietly said, we're just going to keep rolling the balls out there and doing what we do.
The most heavily anticipated series of the season.
It's gone! Scherzer off. Judge goes down.
Playoff atmosphere here.
There's a feeling that there might be a little bit of blood in the water right now. The Blue Jays just keep on doing it.
This tenacious Blue Jays offense comes back again. Outstanding effort by Chris Bass.
You can't stop this guy.
Toronto Blue Jays have taken over first place in the AL East by sweeping them right out of town.
Keep going, to keep grinding. That's who we are as a team. Fight every day.
Pretty cool.
That was very sweet.
Yeah.
Official pod of the Blue Jays.
Yeah, man.
Although, just kind of my producer, editor side, if I'm going to nitpick, it does feel like they kind of rushed to get to Dan Schulman, and maybe there was one more voice they could have fit in there.
Yeah.
An award-winning voice.
Yeah, but no, I'm kidding. That was legitimately cool, especially when I went back and listened to it after Jared sent it.
Yeah, so the Blue Jays, like, that's when they swept the Yankees in a 4-game set. They still haven't lost a game. So we're still going. It's 8 straight dubs for the Toronto Blue Jays, and the Yankees just so happened to win 1 game against the Mets yesterday. So it went from the Blue Jays entering a 4-game set against the Yankees, just hoping to maybe split. Best case, take 3 out of 4. That would be incredible. Have a little piece of first place. But now they hold a 3-game lead in the division. It just keeps going. The Yankees keep losing. The Jays keep winning. It's a 3-game lead over both the Yankees and the Rays. The Yankees and the Rays enter play today on Monday with the same record, 49-41. And the Blue Jays are leading the division, 52-38. And run differential be damned. You had Michael Kay going toe-to-toe with the Blue Jays broadcast, being like, you're a fucking fan. He didn't say fucking, but he wanted to. You're a fucking fanboy, waving your brooms, like, act like you've been there. Because Michael Kay's point was true, like, when you look at the run differentials at the time, it's fallen quite a bit since then, but it was over 100. They were plus 100 and call it 5. And the Jays were like a negative run differential probably at the beginning of that series. So he was looking at it as we're a plus 100 run differential team. You're a negative run differential team. We're a first place team. You're not. And then the Blue Jays they swept the series. And it's like, well, who's the first place team now? Run differential be damned.
And isn't that every reason why, if you're the Toronto Blue Jays, to be flying your flag, to be waving your broom in the air? When you're the Yankees and you walk around with the chip on your shoulder that you walk around with, you have to expect that every dude who crosses your path is going to be one that wants to knock it off. You have to expect that. So when it starts to happen, and when the success that is at stake is the division lead, and that's what they absolutely ripped out of your hands, fly that flag, wave that broom. I mean, it's not a matter of acting like you've been there. It's a matter of the Yankees walking around the way they do. And I think everybody understands there's a certain level of cachet. Everybody talks about what the pinstripes does for you. Okay, well, all that being said, don't, regardless of where you're at, run different. I mean, and that's where I was looking at on their run, because it was the last game of the series against you guys, Jared, that they've carried this run into, right? Since June 29th.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I can start to chip away at reasons why they've had the success. I mean, it hasn't been because they've gotten overwhelming performances on the mound from the starters per se. I mean, there's been a good job done. It's the offense and it's where it's coming from that has helped. And I think it's even fair to say that it's surprising where it's not coming from. But just going back to the point of Michael Kay, maybe he doesn't understand that what the broadcasters for the Blue Jays are looking at is, we know why we're winning right now, and we know why it could be even different or maybe even better. And the fact that this is all happening and the division lead is now ours, like,
do you want the audio from the beef?
Give it to me.
We have been asked about the broom relentlessly these last couple of days, so here it is, because we just witnessed something that has not been done in the history of the Blue Jays, sweeping all four from the Yankees here in Toronto. First time. And I can think of a certain Yankee broadcaster, in fact, who is going to have to go on his show tomorrow and admit that the Blue Jays are a first-place team, because the standings prove it.
Oh my goodness. Welcome back to Yankees batting practice today, presented by Audi. It is that time. We spend our Sundays with our Michael Kay, and he joins us right now. Michael, okay, things have been brewing. Jay skipper John Schneider and some of the broadcasters, a reaction or two to your take on the Jays. I am just going to lay out, let you go, take it away. Have at it.
Oh, here you go. It's interesting. So what I would say to Jamie is I can easily say the Blue Jays are a first-place team because I'm not a fawning fanboy. I'm a broadcaster, and the bottom line is they are, in fact, a first-place team. Also, the whole narrative has been skewed by people who misinterpret it and didn't hear everything that I said on my radio show. I was talking about the Pythagorean theorem of run differential, which would indicate that the Blue Jays should not have a record as good as they have. In fact, I was complimenting the Blue Jays that they've exceeded the expectations that the numbers would put on them. I never said that run differential is more important than wins and losses. Of course it's not. But baseball perspective, places like that, they take the run differential and they try to figure out exactly what the record would be. And the Blue Jays have exceeded that with their gritty, gutty style of play. And one final thing, it's kind of funny if you think about it. Imagine, Nancy, if Jack Curry was waving a broom on the Yankee postgame show. He would probably be called into the office and shortly fired after that. Now, I love Toronto. It is a cosmopolitan city. It's one of the greatest cities in the world for me. I think it's great. You're waving a broom on a postgame show. You're turning it into Mayberry RFD. I just don't get it. I don't understand it. You should be proud of the fact you're in first place. And one final thing. You shouldn't hang on the rim 3 minutes into the third quarter of a basketball game. Feel good about sweeping the Yankees. Feel good about winning all these games in a row. Feel good about being in first place. But to hang on the rim this early, let's hang on the rim in October. That's when you hang on the rim.
Go ahead, Jay.
Go ahead, Dallas. The idea that he was complimenting the Blue Jays by bringing up their run differential is obviously bullshit. No one does that. Come on. He was bringing it up to discredit them or to chip away at the idea that they're as good as they seem. So, Yeah.
And again, like to hear, like, just go starting at the end of what Michael Kay had to say. He's correct in that, hey, you want to celebrate? Typically you pop champagne in October. That's when you pop champagne. And this wasn't a pop champagne moment, but it was the first time in the history of the Toronto Blue Jays that they swept the Yankees over a 4-game set. So that is something to just acknowledge. It's never happened before. Be excited about that. And the fact that that little chunk of history does indeed wrap up a first place finish in your division, or a first place setting in your division. That's what you're excited about. And in the world of entertainment, especially these days where people are looking to differentiate themselves, I don't understand how Michael Kay, someone in a large entertainment environment who has multiple outlets of entertainment, doesn't understand that that's all part of entertainment. And for the Blue Jays, maybe they're not being operated by the way the Yankees are. And as someone who experiences life in the Yankee operated media realm and in the Toronto Blue Jay operated media realm, there are stark differences between those two. Vast differences between those two. I mean, for me, the Blue Jays, whatever, entertainment group that they're ran by, I'm not sure, what is it, Sportsnet? I'm not sure. But it, TSN, like, they do a fantastic job. They do a great job. And bro, do your thing. Do your thing.
I agree that Jack Curry waving a broom would seem that would seem unusual for Jack Curry and for the way they produce that show. The idea that somebody would or should be fired for doing that is, what are we talking about? Like,
right.
I don't know. I just feel like Michael Kay buried some pretty decent points in there with like some kind of obviously disingenuous comments as well. And I get that that's part of the back and forth when you're trying to maintain a level of journalistic professionalism while also being the home play-by-play guy for the New York Yankees. Like he has, I don't know what the status of his radio show is now, but he had or has the radio show. So like, to your point, he's doing a lot of talking. He has to entertain himself. But this level of like indignation that somebody was waving a broom on a post-game show in an entertainment business is a little losing it to me.
Well, like, and it almost feels like, I mean, and I don't know. I would hope that that our Canadian following would correct me if I'm wrong here. But when I think about like Canadian hockey culture, right? And just the idea, like, if you aren't wearing out your teammates, if you aren't giving them shit from the minute you set eyes on each other, like it's just, it's how it is. It's how the sport environment goes. So like, just as far as like, if you're covering hockey, if you're covering baseball, like that, and maybe that's why I gravitate towards Canadian sport culture, is because they do wear you out. They grind it. They play hard. And they respect the games that they're playing. They respect their opponents that they're playing. I just feel like, yeah, man, dude, like, isn't that something that you would just understand about how they're doing things? Like,
so Jamie Campbell was the studio host that waved the broom.
Okay.
This is the guy that Kay came after. He tweeted something out that he wanted people to know was not an apology, but he did address Michael Kay's rant. He said, "I should point out that I've always had great respect for Mr. K. That's a tough market and he's endured. We haven't been able to say first place around here for a while, just having a little fun." And then someone said, "Never apologize. They would never apologize to you or us." And he said that wasn't an apology.
It wasn't.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. And that's like, and that right there, I think, is exactly what I'm talking about when I say I am on board with how they roll up there. I fully respect it because the same, like, I have an immense amount of respect for Michael Kay, an immense amount of respect. And, that's why I think compartmentalize like how other people feel about him and how I feel.
I think he's good.
He's great, man.
I think he's great. I've been trying to get him on this. Not that he said no. It's just the couple times that I tried to interview him, it was like, because he does his radio show as well as the Yankee broadcast. There was just like a small window that it didn't work out with like my schedule. But anytime that he's come up, I've said, here in Boston, you have sports radio hosts who say, if we talked about baseball all day long, we would never get any calls. People don't care, yada, yada, yada. But in the biggest sports media market in the world, New York, Michael Kay talks baseball all day long. Like, I find myself listening to or watching clips from his radio show more often than sports radio in Boston, just because he's talking baseball. Like, I don't give a fuck about other sports. So like, I listen to more Michael Kay than I do the local guys, because they just refuse to talk baseball for any lengthy periods of time. And I also know that most of them, not all of them, but most of them aren't even watching the games. We know Michael Kay is watching the games because he's calling the games. He's watching them more intently than anybody else. So yeah, I love Michael Kay, big fan. But yeah, I think that when you can't get upset about another broadcaster bragging about being in first place and then call him a fanboy, because you getting upset about that if that hurts, then you're kind of a fanboy too. Like, if someone's bragging about being in first place and your team's not in first place anymore, and that's upsetting to you, that's also a fanboy. And there's nothing wrong with, like, I'm a fanboy. There's nothing wrong with being a fan. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. But like, you're also a fan if you get upset about someone bragging about being in first place after sweeping you.
And that's where I have always had the issue with the way that broadcasters and media types carry themselves. I've talked about how when I was at the College World Series, calling the game, and not only calling the game, but being in the press box for a Texas Tech game that I wasn't calling, and being excited about what I was seeing. I said very loudly in the press box, it's okay to have fun. Feel free to enjoy what you're seeing. It's street legal to enjoy this and have fun in life and what you're doing. So just like that, like calm the fuck down. I don't care. I can feel all of you looking at me. I don't care. I don't care at all.
Well, and I think like, and I'm not contradicting, or I'm not going against what you're saying, to defend that generation of writer, I think, or broadcaster. Most of them were initially writers or journalists in some form. Like, I do think most of them came up or were coached or cultivated as quote unquote real news people, journalists, whatever it might be, right? And we don't have to go down this rabbit hole, but like, to me, like, that standard doesn't even really exist in real reporting. So like, the idea that we're trying to institute these very rigid standards for baseball reporting in 2025, probably, or play-by-play or whatever, it doesn't. But to me, in 2025, there's a distinction between professionalism, as in, I'm not going to ask for an autograph while I'm wearing a credential and I'm working the event, right, versus I'm not going to express any sort of passion or enthusiasm or even homerism while calling a game for a team that I'm employed by. Like, I hated Hawk Harrelson when I first was exposed to him. And by the end of it, and it didn't take very long, I loved everything about it. And I want more of that in my home broadcasts. And that's with the understanding that I also think Michael Kay is excellent at what he does. And I like listening to him call the Yankees games as well, because it is a very knowledgeable, buttoned up approach in a lot of ways. So it takes both types, but I can't get over the idea that somebody was so mad about the broom in the studio show. Yeah. The studio show. That's where they're doing stuff like that. Does anybody remember what the White Sox were up to in their studio show last year?
Oh my God, with Ozzy? Come on.
I mean, the studio show and the actual broadcast booth may as well not even be referred to in the same conversation, as far as I'm concerned, for what the expectations are and how they're produced and all that sort of stuff. So just get lost with that.
Yeah.
I think, here in Boston, we have a mix of both, because Dave O'Brien is an excellent national broadcaster. Like, he's been doing, like, what was it, the 4th of July? my girlfriend went out. She was like, we're going to watch the fireworks. You want to come? I was like, absolutely not. Went home, watched Manny Ramirez highlights on YouTube with my dog. And like Dave O'Brien was on the call from it was like 20 years ago. Like he's been doing it for a long time. National voice. But like, I think he cares about the quality. Like in having conversations with him, I think like he gets frustrated when like the Red Sox play poorly, but it's not like a win-loss thing. It's like I want to watch an entertaining product thing. But you've got Will Fleming who does the radio, and you've got Lou Merlone who does TV and radio. And these guys live and die. Like they're invested in the offseason. Like they care win-loss, and they're, making content outside of the broadcast that they're paid to do. So like that type of stuff, like fans gravitate towards. Like I don't know that a fan base would ever look down upon their regional broadcaster. It's like, what do you mean you're rooting for? Like, we're the fans, you're the broadcaster. You call the game, we'll root for the team. Like there's like if in most markets, I would think fans are like, fuck yeah, like he's one of us. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's what I was going to say. What's kind of cool about it is it's not like you get an opportunity to sort of pick your path, if you will. But like in wrestling, Jared, you sort of have a personality that's developed. Maybe it's developed for you. Maybe the personality that you develop early that someone catches on to, they help cultivate. But it's almost like you can go one way or the other. And I see individuals like try to balance both, and it's tough to do. But that's where I think paying attention to the game on the whole and understanding how good the other teams are gives a regional broadcaster an opportunity to be that homer and also shed light on who the opposition is. And that's the balance that I try to strike. And I think having the access to all the fan bases that we do and being at the ballpark, that gives me a lot of insight into basically how I want to present these games, because I'm having conversations with these fans who are consuming the games. And that's what I care about, is what do they enjoy? They're sitting down watching the games with us. That's my job, right? Like, is to make sure that they're having a good time. And if they don't like what they're hearing from me or what we've got going on, there's other avenues that they can travel down.
Yeah.
And I fully respect it.
Yeah. Just have it be authentic. That's my only request. Yes. Like if you're going to be a broadcaster that shows emotion in that regard, as long as it's authentic, I don't care. Anyways, the Red Sox forced the Nationals to fire their entire front office yesterday. This was obviously very, I guess, important, prominent, of note, because Mike Rizzo and Dave Martinez were staples for that 2019 World Series team. This was the group that got it done in DC. Not that it was like, oh, well, are they ever going to get it done? No, it was never that, but it was kind of just, when you take a team from Montreal that had never won anything, should have, but didn't, and then you bring them to a new market where the fan support, it's still kind of iffy. And then you win a World Series, that should be commended. And these were the two gentlemen who were at the top of the list of reasons why they won that World Series. But the announcement went, the Washington Nationals today announced the replacement of longtime president of baseball operations and general manager Mike Rizzo and manager Dave Martinez, citing the need for a fresh approach and new energy. Fresh approach and new energy. And why this is so, I guess, it's not surprising that a struggling team would fire their manager or their general manager. It is surprising when a team would fire their general manager a week before the Major League Baseball draft, when you have the number 1 overall pick. I'll ask you guys, do you think, bad performance is certainly a justifiable enough reason to fire both individuals. But do you think that like the owner has a strong preference for who should be taken with the number 1 overall pick? And you've got the general manager saying this is who we want to take, and he's like, well, we're not taking that guy.
Jayhay, well, you're shaking your head right now, and the first thing the first thing that comes to my mind is what else can be gleaned from this? How else do you interpret this outside of there has to be some serious conflict in terms of which direction they want to head? And wasn't there was an issue, or folks took umbrage with how Dave Martinez did not sugarcoat where he felt some of the responsibility and the accountability for the lack of success should go. And I think what folks lost sight of in that moment is that's not Dave Martinez, like a career minor league guy, chiming in about how he thinks things are going and where the responsibility may lay. This is Dave Martinez, a ball player with plenty of dirt under his spikes, who has been there, done that, and is saying, look, can't always just blame the coaching staff. It's easy to do that, but that's not where all the blame can go. And maybe that wasn't well received. Maybe that was something that ownership took note of. And now the lack of success with that, things start to compile, things start to get bigger. And maybe there has been a conversation about the direction we're heading. And maybe there's been some pushback there. So that could very well have been the straw that broke the camel's back. And the reason the move doesn't seem so alarming internally is because the executives or the folks who matter have always known what direction they were going to go. And if it ever got to this point, well, then there would be decisions that had to be made. And the fact that these other things that I just mentioned happened, led up to this point, maybe that's what made it easier for this decision to get made at a time like this, where everybody else from an outsider's perspective is going, but at the draft, like we're talking about moving and trading potential draft piece, like they're just like,
I mean, it's the first overall pick. Like, I also think, it's like, well, if this is over the draft, then why the manager too? And you don't get fired over one series or anything like that. But we had Lou Merloni did a voice submission for the Clark SketchUp Series MVP last night, and he was calling the games from the booth, and he was like, the Nats played with zero urgency. Like there were situations where they could have gone first to third and just didn't. They just pulled right up at second base. Stuff like that, when your team isn't putting in a maximum effort, playing hard, trying to win baseball games, that stuff absolutely falls on the manager.
So I think if your guys' take is that the main cause of this is a disagreement over the draft, I respectfully disagree.
I don't think it's the main reason. I think it has to be a reason. It has to be.
I think it is a reason, but I think it is down the list, and I'm gonna sell you guys on why. I think this is a perfect parallel or near perfect parallel to something that we just saw happen in the National Basketball Association, which is that it reached a point where removing one or the other wasn't sufficient, and that the environment had become so toxic, and whether that was the entire Nationals organization or the working relationship between Mike Rizzo and Davey Martinez, and how that was impacting roster building and this franchise's ability to move forward. Because the Denver Nuggets executed now they are much, much closer to contention than Nationals are, different roster situation, but they removed their championship winning GM and head coach from a more recent championship than the Nationals just won, because of what was reported as widespread dysfunction generating from disagreements about how things should be structured between the two of them, how rosters should be filled out. I think that's what's basically happening here. I think Mike Rizzo had the job since, 12 or 13? He is, if not the longest, Cashman I think is the longest tenured, but I believe he's the second longest tenured lead front office executive in Major League Baseball. The outside of the 2019 World Series, they have really had what I would consider to be scattered success. They made the playoffs 4 times. Davey Martinez made the playoffs 1 time, and that was the year they won the World Series. I think the front office was given a long enough rope to put a team together post World Series title, and ownership is looking at the current situation in conjunction with the sniping from Dave Martinez, the lethargic play that you guys are talking about, and saying this team is very far away from where it should be. And I think it is so far away that the ascension of James Wood this season, I believe, has caught the attention of ownership to the point where we have a legitimate budding superstar on our roster, and the infrastructure around James Wood is so far away from being ready to support an actual winner here that we are going to get to a point where we're having the Juan Soto conversation about James Wood before we've really even started with James Wood. Like, I think that's something that's now creeping into their psyche. And because look at this roster, what else is here? Forget this season. Let's talk about 2026. What is really, truly happening that you can hang your hat on with this roster that is, we are building, this is a building block, this is something moving forward, putting aside James Wood, because every other player that matters has some sort of qualification next to their name. Dylan Cruz, very exciting, high young, recent draft pick. Nothing this season. This is a wash.
Mackenzie
right now.
Gore?
This is a lost season. Mackenzie Gore has had, has had a breakout. Hold on. CJ Abrams is very good. He is not the second best player on a team that matters. And right now, that's what he is being forced to do. He's a nice piece. I'm not dismissing him. Mackenzie Gore, we are not that far away from Mackenzie Gore needing a new contract. And that's the problem with how long it took him to break out, is that you are already hearing his name bandied about in semi-real, semi-hypothetical, would they trade Mackenzie Gore type of things. And that brings me back to my point is that with some of these pieces, like, they're closer to having to start a new retooling, I feel like, than they are realizing the efforts of the previous post-championship rebuild. And I think that's ultimately why Mike Rizzo went. And I think, Davey Martinez, we laid out why that was the case. But I just think this is a lot more holistic than just the draft. But to your guys' point, if you don't trust Mike Rizzo starting next season, why are you trusting him to make the decision in a week? Well, you still have Mike DeBartolo, or whoever the guy who's ascending to the spot is. He was an internal person. He's obviously been part of draft prep. You're not going in completely blind. I just, if you've lost confidence, delaying the decision doesn't make me feel any better about it, I guess.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. But that's why my thought is, or was, still is, that the draft conversation is just the straw that broke the camel's back. That's why I started with Dave Martinez. Potentially, maybe the comments not only lost the clubhouse, maybe the comments were just enough where the GM and the dysfunction in that relationship that already existed hit a breaking point. And it's like, well, I don't like the players you're bringing in here. And the GM's going, well, you know what? You're not doing what we need you to do with the players we're bringing in here. So, it's just basically a standoff between the two.
This isn't working.
Move forward, right? If you're going to move forward at all, like you said, Jay, it's not a matter of one of us having to go, because one of us has been a staple here and we haven't had success since then. It's time for a new look.
So you agree that it was time, Dallas?
Yeah, I would say, like, all things considered with where they're at.
Isn't that like fascinating from like a human behavioral
very
just like perspective? Like, you can, and it also makes what Brian Cashman has made of himself even more impressive, right? Like the fact that you can survive that long when you have, just look across, not even just baseball, to Jayhay's point, it goes with other sports. You have tandems that have won championships together that ultimately have to fall on the sword one day. Like that day is coming for all of us, except for Brian Cashman, who just has a job for life, apparently.
Well, and I do think, I think it is worth at least mentioning that the Davey Martinez part of this is at least a little bit unfair. I don't think it's so unfair that he should have kept his job, because ultimately, if you're going to change the front office, that group is going to want to pick their own manager. And I don't think Davey Martinez's overall track record is strong enough to have warranted a regime change or to have survived a regime change. But if we're going to be honest about the quality of roster that Dave Martinez has been provided with post-title, none of those teams had any hope of being anything at all. And so, we can say he only made the postseason once, which I did. But he brought them their only championship, and every single opportunity that he's had to prove that that's the quality of manager he actually is, was short-circuited before it could even begin because the talent on the roster was a complete non-starter. And like, I don't think anybody would say that he has equipped himself perfectly this year as the manager of this team, given the way that they played, the record, all that sort of stuff. But I just, there is something that makes me sad about how little job security or just like overall just equity winning a championship buys you in the modern era. Like, I feel like winning a championship was something of a golden ticket back in the day. And maybe this is for the better.
Yeah.
Maybe it shouldn't be a golden ticket. Maybe you should be helped. Maybe this review should be happening more often. But I just feel like this. I always thought about the idea that like, you win a championship, you don't have to pay for a meal in that city for the rest of your life. Right. And I've never felt like that was less true than it is in most situations right now.
It's because
Davey Martinez can walk down the street, everybody like, fuck you, man. Like,
it's because this is a society that is looking to tear down. We just talked about this with Kershaw. It's a society that is looking to tear you down en route to your success. And then once you have reached the pinnacle of that moment or whatever it is that you're doing, even in that moment, no, you're not getting your flowers. What you are getting is a review. Like you just said, Jayhay, here's where you could have done better. Here's where you didn't do as well as other people who have done this thing that you just did as well. So while you're excited about having reached the mountaintop, you kind of stumbled along the way. You're lucky to be there. And you should really thank us for giving you the boots and the backpack that helped get you up that mountain, because that's the reason why the championship equity no longer exists to the extent that you and I and Jared are used to seeing it, is because the folks who are being deemed responsible for that success, it goes players, analysts, right? Players, brain trust, front office, then the field staff. Because who gets the credit for putting the pitching coach and the pitching brain trust into play and putting them together? Well, doesn't the front office get an acknowledgement for that? Because we know who hires these people. Well, we do. We're the ones who put the think tank in place, so we should be getting credit for that. And it's like the bum ass pitching coach, the bum ass hitting coach are catching crumbs, because let's not forget that everybody's got a guru on the pitching side or on the hitting side. So the championship equity for the field staff, the manager, the coaches, it has never been lower for all of the reasons I just mentioned, because everybody else is lined up to get credit. Everybody else is lined up with their hand out to get the acknowledgement long before the dudes who are grinding, bleeding, and sweating along these guys. I watch these guys go out there on both sides, ground balls in the cage at fucking 11 o'clock in the morning. They're going to be doing it today down the street from my house on an off day, sweating their ass off. And they're the first to go when shit hits the fan. When the ERA is not sexy, when they haven't hit for a month and a half and they've slid 10 spots it's the hitting coach that goes, not the analysts.
We're now fully on a tangent, but I just find this stuff to be no. I was going to take us to a different one now too. I find this stuff so fascinating, especially when you get track records as long as Mike Rizzo's, because those getting 12, 13-year samples is pretty rare now in sports. But I'm left, and I don't know that this is totally fair. It's a little bit off the cuff. But my impression of Mike Rizzo's run as a GM is that he was awesome at the big ticket and, I'll dare say, semi-obvious stuff, and maybe some of the margins and that sort of stuff, roster building wise, were his weakness. And I think and maybe that's not true, but I do wonder if whether the current ownership group is looking for, they're obviously looking for a new vision, a new voice. They said that, but when you think of the big hits in the Mike Rizzo Nationals era, for the most part, I think of draft selections that I think pretty much any other person would have made. Okay. Strasburg and Harper, right? Those weren't scouting. That was, you had the first pick, right? And Rendon, I'm not going to remove all credit, but I think he was the 3rd or 4th overall pick or something like that. So the big ticket items, signing Patrick Corbin, signing Max Scherzer for $250 million of somebody else's money, that all worked. And the trade of Juan Soto, that's the only good part of what remains of this current team, right? That's James Wood, that's Mackenzie Gore, that's CJ Abrams, and that's, I think, Robert Hassel. So like and I think there's Susanna, I think, is a pitching prospect who's kicking around with them too. But like filling in the pieces around that or building out the rest of the team never seems to have started. I mean, no executive survives back to back last place finishes, like following, like they're not finishing second, third, fourth, fifth, second, third. Like this is last place every season in a division with the Marlins.
Yeah. Tough.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just looking at it. Kevin Cash, longest tenured manager now. Not that like he needed Davey Martinez to get fired for this, but he got hired in December of 2014, so right before the 2015 season. And then Dave Roberts, another guy that has he's hung on. Snit since 2016.
But that's like how thin the margin on these conversations is, right? Because people are already saying Snit's lost it, right? And he's taken a lot of heat for what has happened this season. And Dave Roberts was one series against the Padres away from probably not having a job, right? And now he's basically a Dodger for life, right? Like if they lose that Padres series last year, does Dave Roberts keep his job?
I think that was I don't know that it's a guarantee, at least, right? Yeah, I don't think it was a guarantee that he gets fired, but that was absolutely a job opening that people were like before Alex Cora signed his extension halfway through last season, people were already anticipating the Dodger job being open, that they were just going to trade spots. So certainly a possibility. But I think, logically speaking, and especially because we heard it from them after that World Series had concluded, the Padres were the best team that they played. I get the optics of losing in the division series would have been bad, but it's like we lost to the best team that we were going to play.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I was going to go.
But that only matters because they won.
Sure.
Nobody gives a fuck about that excuse if you lose in the divisional round, right? Like,
but it goes, but then you start to dissect what you have supporting you in that losing effort is how did we lose? And are my fingerprints on that? Did I make a move or two that could have gone a different way that sort of becomes obvious? And even though in hindsight, I think in the moment I fucked up, like if that's the case, well, then it might be a little easier to move on. But then I always go back to what we always said about, the whatever June swoon and fire boon. Those are two things that are as consistent in baseball as have ever been. Right. And like when those seasons strike, you always have to step back and go, well, who else, New York? Who else you sliding in there behind Boney? If you think he is so bad for whatever reason, and when I say New York, I'm talking about the absolutely psychotic Yankee fans that are out there that every year want to fire somebody, and it's Aaron Boone for whatever reason. Like it just, who else? If it's not Doc, who else you sliding in there?
Who do they want to fire now? Watching this dog shit team.
Boone.
They want to fire Boone still?
No, that's back. That's Dallas is right. I wait for it every year, and it happens every year.
I just didn't know if he was directly responsible this time.
Always is.
Yeah, feels like they're starting to hold the players accountable. Finally, there's a lot of Anthony Volpe dialogue happening on the internet these days.
Buddy, I was told that their backup plan for Juan Soto was actually better than having Juan Soto, so I'm not really interested in hearing about the supporting cast of the Yankees.
Yeah.
Did you guys see Volpe's dad? Somebody?
Yeah.
What happened? All I saw was the video. I don't have any context. I would assume that it was a fan talking shit, and either Volpe's dad overheard it, or the fan knew that it was Volpe's dad and said some shit directly. I feel like that's really the only kind of way that maybe happens, but I don't know how it happened.
I don't know.
I just saw Volpe's dad saying, fuck you or something like that, which I'm always a fan of.
I mean, if you're someone's dad, you kind of I get it though. So I think where it may be different for Volpe's dad, they grew up Yankee fans. So like there's a different kind of hurt for like Yankee fans shitting on your son when you guys grew up diehard Yankee fans. Like if you're from like California, like, man, these people are real assholes anyways, then you move on with your day. But it's got to cut deep if you're a diehard Yankee fan, your son grew up to play for the Yankees, and then you see Yankee fans being like, this guy sucks, boo. Like that's got to hit different. It does.
Yeah, is that what it was? Was it a Yankee fan talking shit?
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. I want to say maybe it was a Mets fan in the video, but like Yankee fans in particular have been crushing Volpe this year.
Yeah, that sucks.
Well,
that's tough. Yeah, I had a friend. And a teammate who, whose girlfriend got into a fight in Yankee Stadium because somebody was talking shit about him, and she was like, "Nope, not here. We are not having that. We can throw these dogs in the third deck. We can get after it."
I mean, you kind of have to go to Yankee Stadium knowing that that's going to happen. It's not like you should never be caught off guard by that.
Right. Yeah.
It's just part of the experience. Like when I haven't been to Yankee Stadium in a while. I kind of miss the chaos, but
some are saying you're afraid.
No, definitely not. They've never been softer than they are right now. Like they're big softies out there, especially in the bleachers. I mean, look at who they have as their leader.
Yeah.
You know? Like if that's your leader, man. You know, Red Sox Nation is lucky to have a leader that looks like Randy Orton, you know? But then the Yankees, their leader looks like an alien from Men in Black.
Talking about the guy who worked the gun shop?
Yeah. That guy's got a date with the noisy cricket, you know? Yeah, it's different. It's different, man. So
different lives.
Yeah, the A's leader looks like Animal from the Muppets. Red Sox leader looks like Randy Orton. Yankees leader looks like one of the aliens from Men in Black. Like we're all created differently, you know. We're all different people. So
we radiate different energy. That's the vibe.
Yeah. Sounds like Volpe's dad could use some better help. Sounds like he needs someone he could talk to.
He was sharing his emotion just fine from what I saw.
I think he needs to process it differently. I think he needs to have like a vent session in like a safer space, not Yankee Stadium or like Citi Field or anything like that.
Could be beneficial for all of us.
Yeah, because men today face immense pressure to perform, to provide, to keep it all together. So it's no wonder that 6 million men in the United States suffer from depression every single year, and it's often undiagnosed. It's okay to struggle. Real strength comes from opening up about what you're carrying and doing something about it so you can be at your best for yourself and everyone in your life. If you're a man and you're feeling the weight of the world, talk to someone, a friend, a loved one, a therapist. Trust me on this one. As someone who's been in therapy since 2010, it is worth it. I'm glad that this read specifically says men, because women, they have no problem. They love to yap. They'll yap to a therapist. They'll yap to anybody. But men.
Tell us more about your home problems.
Yeah. But men, they're the ones that are like, therapy? Not me. I'm too tough for therapy. They're afraid to be vulnerable. Well, I'm here to tell you, men, that it's okay to be vulnerable. You're not a tough guy for not going to therapy. You're an idiot. With over 35,000 therapists, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, having served over 5 million people globally. And it works. With an App Store rating of 4.9 out of 5 based on over 1.7 million client reviews, it's convenient too. You can join a session with a therapist at the click of a button, helping you fit therapy into your busy life. Plus, you can switch therapists at any time. As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. Talk it out with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month of BetterHelp at betterhelp.com/baseball. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/baseball. That's the American spelling.
I love how you just badger the listeners into needing better help.
Mm-hmm.
No need for you women, because you won't shut the fuck up. And as far as the men go, you're fucking idiots. So you need it all. So I mean, everybody find somebody to yap to if you can.
Correct. I mean, I wish I had someone like me to be like, hey, dumbass, get in therapy. What do you think? You're a tough guy? You're not. Go to therapy. Sometimes sometimes people need tough love, and people don't have that person, that rock in their life to be like, hey man, get your ass in therapy.
Yeah. Belt to ass.
Yep.
Keep going.
They'll thank me later. I know they will. Speaking of belts to asses, Tarek Skubal, 7 innings, 3 hits, 0 earned runs, 10 strikeouts. The ERA is approaching sub 2 once again. So in June 12th was the last time he was a sub 2. But he's knocking on the door of sub 2 again. It's down to 202. The FIP, Dallas. If I told you that Tarek Skubal's ERA is 202, what would you say his FIP is?
197.
It's a 187. Yeah, it's a 187 on the year. So when was that blow up start that he had against, what was that team? Oh, the Red Sox. Yeah, he gave up 5 earned runs against the Boston Red Sox. By far the worst outing of the year, but he's made 9 starts since then. It's a 145 ERA, a 167 FIP, 77 strikeouts in 62 innings. 77 strikeouts to just 8 walks.
He will vary. I mean, I don't know if I should say very. I want to say very. He could very well. I would love for him to finish the season with more wins than walks.
More wins than walks?
I would love for that to happen.
Do you think that's on the table?
No. He will have finished the season. I'd like to think. I mean,
I think that's on the table.
He could finish the season with more starts under his belt than walks for sure.
Oh yeah, that's like that's not even a standard. You need to hold him to a higher standard than that.
Well, that's why Dallas, I said fucking wins.
You should adjust your take. More Tiger wins in his starts than walks, because right now it's 14-14. The Tigers are 14-4 in his 18 starts, and he's walked 14 batters this year.
Yeah, but that's the challenge though, is he's got 10 to his name.
I know. I'm saying you should change it to Tiger wins, not Skubal wins.
I know, but me keeping it at Skubal wins is the fucking test. Is the, hey, I know you're good, but every great racehorse needs to be dug in on at times. And who am I? What kind of friend am I if I'm going, Scoobs, look, baby, just every time your team went like, no, Jared, fucking W's, because that's what shuts mouths. That's what makes it clear and apparent for people who can't respect what you're saying about his presence, meaning he pitches, he dominates, they win the ball game. He should get credit for that. I agree. But how do you shut the nerds up who have tried to kill the win for the starting pitcher? How do you shut him up? By this guy going out there and doing what he's doing. God damn it. That's how you shut him up, is you go, oh, wow, this guy hung around in the ball games long enough these days to account for this and did so in dominant fashion. Yeah, give me that. So that's the challenge.
As best I can tell, and this is extremely unofficial because it's going to take a lot more time to get the actual answer, but I'm trying to find an example of a pitcher who had more wins than walks in any sample that we would care about. And the last instance I can find was a guy named Slim Sully in 1919 who won 21 games while walking 20 batters in 227 2/3 innings pitched?
Slim Sully.
Oh, wait.
No, someone recently did it.
We got one. Phil Hughes in 2014 had 16 wins and 16 walks.
Wow.
Yes.
I sounded like Kirchin there.
Yes, you did.
And I believe, I want to say that's the single season baseball record for K to walk.
Yep. That's when he said it.
Yeah, I'm going to double check that. But his K to walk that year was 11 something, which is obviously insane. Phil Hughes had 186 strikeouts, 16 walks, actually, coincidentally, 16 home runs allowed and 16 wins in 2014.
And what was that ERA, Jayhay?
3.52.
And you know what? This is what I want. Yeah, that is ridiculous. So he could be the first guy. And again, what Phil Hughes did was he equaled the wins. I'm looking for more. More wins.
So interestingly enough, that K to walk leaderboard single season is Phil Hughes that year, Brett Saberhagen in 94, and would you believe Tarek Skubal this season? At his current rate is 10.57. It would be the third best single season K to walk of all time.
What was that?
Cliff Lee fourth, and then Jim Whitney from 1883 to 1884.
What year? If you have it pulled up right now, what year did Phil Hughes? Was it 2010, where he didn't win 20 games? He almost won 20 games with like a fucking 4.5.
Yeah, he was like a fake Cy Young contender. Yeah, he went in 2010. He went 18-8 with a 4.19. Made the All-Star game.
Yeah, I remember that pissing me off because I was like, oh, motherfucker.
Yeah, he was like so much better in 2014 with the Twins than he was that season. Yeah. Skubal though.
Yeah,
Skubal.
Well,
not to disrupt anything. Not to disrupt anything that we're talking about here, but we might have Craig might be cooking something up.
Oh, you think so?
You guys unloaded another salary?
I don't think we have any real salaries to unload, but
where's Jaron Duran going?
Hey,
I don't know. I don't know what it is yet. I don't know what it is yet, but something might be getting cooked up right now. Anyways, go ahead.
No, I just wasn't. I didn't think we were done blowing Skubal, to be honest.
Yeah, no, we're not.
Okay. Yeah, no, we're not.
So we're just gonna go. I as I always do with performances like this, and we're gonna give Zack Wheeler this same tongue bath. Skubal in that outing, 19 of 24 first pitch strikes. So just fucking auto strike to start with. 14 fastballs for strikes, 31 3 swing and misses on that. The two-seamer, 15 strikes, 2 swing and misses, 2 strikeouts on that. The curveball, non-existent. 1 strikeout on the slider, 7 swings, 1 swing and miss on that. 40 changeups thrown for Skubal, 30 for strikes, 25 swings, 14 swing and misses. 25 swings, 14 swing and misses. Just wrap your head around that. That is incredible to watch. And I watched every fucking bit of it. And it was incredible to watch. 4 strikeouts on that. He was just about as dominant when you think about swing and miss back and forth that I've seen. I mean, he's had far better games than this, but the pure and utter, you can see him. You can see him pacing himself through the game. And I've said this about him. The last time that I've seen this, and the last time I think any of us have seen this, is with a guy like Justin Verlander, where through the first 5-6 innings of his outing, he has paced himself. And it's the 7th and 8th. And when he gets into the 9th inning, where you see his best stuff of the game. And that's what Skubal was doing in the inning where he gave up the double and had a runner in scoring position, it was 101, 100, 101. Like he was like, okay, I'm done with the 96 to 98. Here's the real shit. Let's get out of this and put you to bed.
I can't believe I'm saying this. I want to pose a question to you guys, and I want you to really lock in here for a second. Are we legitimately witnessing one of the 3 or 4 greatest extended pitching runs that anybody on this podcast has seen in their lifetime? And I know, yes. I understand the pitchers that we have seen, and I'm not saying his whole career is better than those guys. I'm saying since September of 23, when the full Tarik Skubal breakout began, he has now thrown 338 innings of a 2.13 ERA to go with 419 strikeouts and 236 hits allowed. That's 54 starts. Those are obviously extremely arbitrary numbers, okay? So I don't want anybody listening to get hung up on 400 or 250 or whatever. But if you look at pitchers that have had 54 start stretches with an ERA that low, that few hits allowed, and that many strikeouts, the entire list is Tarik Skubal, Pedro Martinez from the era that the 99-2000 era, Clayton Kershaw from the 15 to 16 run, and Jacob deGrom in 19 and 20. Okay. And then Sam McDowell from the 1960s. But in terms of people we've watched, that's it. That's all of baseball history. There's no run from Randy Johnson, Greg Maddux, Justin Verlander, Roger Clemens to be found. Again, arbitrary. But I think we've reached a point with Skubal where if we're talking about the peak of peaks, then I do think he belongs in the conversation for the best that any of us have ever seen. Is that out of pocket?
That is it, not by a long shot is that out of pocket. And I would think, and I'm so biased just because of how he goes about it with the fastball changeup combo, that for me, that's what's impressive, is that it's not, I mean, and this is where you can say, well, with Pedro, he was doing it with an abundance of mix, slider, curveball, changeup, fastball. I get it. Kershaw, the same thing. That's what was impressive about him. Fastball, curveball, and the slider came along. DeGrom, it's the pinpoint accuracy with the fucking 100-mile-an-hour shit from start to finish in his bursts. And so these guys have all kind of done it differently, but similarly as well. I think what would be really interesting is to just kind of how I have the ability to go back and dive into their outings, to dive into those runs. And I don't know if the database that I have access to will be able to do it, but to really start, like the game-to-game breakdown, the accumulation of how they were executing, first pitch strike rates over those moments, the swing and miss rates over those moments, just the pitch efficiency, count efficiency. I mean, because we're talking about a what, 54, Jayhay? Is that
54 starts? So September of 23 through present day, yesterday's start.
So this is the best 54 start stretch that we have seen in baseball history.
Well, by those stats, it is one of 4 instances that we've seen in our lifetime for those people to hit those marks. And the guys that I read are Kershaw, Pedro, and DeGrom. And not to take away anything from those dudes, but DeGrom, for example, like that stretches from 2019 to parts of this season. Okay. Right. So like DeGrom, if you want to say, is the most dominant, like per start that anybody has ever seen. I'm not going to push back on that, but like Skubal has combined Jacob deGrom level dominance, but done it without the injuries. Thank God, right? Like there's been no breaks in this. It's just been straight through since September of 23 to this season. And I just like, that's why Kershaw and Pedro come up and are the guys that I go to, because those guys did it in consecutive runs as well. And I just like that we're having this level of conversation with Skubal. Like, I feel like we're on a run now where he's asking us to raise the intensity of the discourse that we have about him on this podcast every time he takes the mound. Like, I think last time I was talking about how he's a perfect pitcher because everything is trending the right way and he does everything at a top of class level. Now is this the greatest peak that we've seen like in our lifetime? And I think the answer is no, but it's not far. Like,
what was the date
for Skubal?
September what? Yeah, September what?
Just the beginning. The first start he made in September, because I think he allowed 3 earned runs over the entirety of September 23. The first date was September 3rd, 2023. That month, he dialed up a 0.90 ERA in 30 innings to go with 14 hits, 43 walks, 43 strikeouts, and 4 walks. So the full breakout happened then, and then he's just continued it into the next 2 seasons. I'm incredibly impressed every time out, and I think that's the level of discourse and conversation that he's forced us to have at this point.
Yeah, it's yeah. Oh man, hold on.
Sorry. Now I'm just like taking, like, I'm being a little Mike Hoggy, but like remember last year leading up to the trade deadline where the conversation, not just on this podcast, but nationally, was should the Tigers trade Tarik Skubal?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. And that's
before they went on their run.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Who were they going to get to support and blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh,
that was a real thing.
Yeah.
And now they are 14 games up in the AL Central. They are going to crawl to the finish. They don't have to do anything. And he's the best pitcher on the planet. And it's not even close, respectfully to all the other guys. Like, that's the other thing. He's making it laughable as terms of who the best pitcher is. Like, I know we love Skeens. I know Wheeler arguably had just as good, if not as good of a start on Sunday.
Yes.
It's like, fucking Skubal.
Like, is the Cy Young not good enough for Tarik Skubal? How they have like gold glove, but then they have platinum glove? Like, is there an award above the Cy Young that Tarik Skubal deserves for what he's doing?
Well, do you not remember me telling folks the last time we met you better insert Tarik Skubal in your AL MVP conversation? That better be a real
talking about. That's the elevation of the conversation every single time we're talking about him, right? Like
100%. That's why if I had to start it last week, it's the same combo this week, boys. It's the same conversation this week. And I will, when we're done, fire off that tweet like I did last time around. Good morning. Just a reminder to involve Tarik Skubal in your American League MVP conversations at the water cooler, because that absolutely needs to be a thing. Absolutely. If the Tigers maintain their lead and continue to do what they're doing, you got to believe that Tarik Skubal is going to continue to do what he's doing in some form or fashion. And if that's the case, who else on that team? It's not even a question about who the most valuable guy on that team is. So from there, when you start to look across the board at what teams are doing, you're going to be hard pressed to find a guy as important to their team's success as Tarik Skubal outside of Aaron Judge.
But by the way, the Tigers are going to go ahead and need to get a World Series, because I can't imagine the after the fact nausea of knowing that you had not only Justin Verlander, not only Max Scherzer, and Tarik Skubal in-house over like a 15-year period. It's like, I mean, that could be talking about 3 of the 6 or 7 best pitchers that we've seen over the last 30 years in-house at different points. And maybe they will win the World Series. They certainly look well positioned to do so right now.
Could be.
Can't wait for Skubal's next start. I'm so pumped already.
I'm just glad that he's on a team that's winning in a big way.
Yes.
Like, it's not like the conversation about Skubal is, can he bring the Tigers to a World Series title? It's not a Skeens conversation of he's so good they have to trade him.
Yep.
Jay, do you have all the numbers available to you for all of those guys? Not like pulled up right now.
Yeah.
Over that span, over those 54 starts.
Yep.
Who has the better strikeout to walk? Skubal sits at 7.91.
I don't have that stat selected at the moment.
Okay. All right. I didn't know what you had, but yeah.
I'm
so
trying
the ERA at 2.13. I don't remember what you went over, because
I mean, the numbers here, like, I don't know that we're going to find an edge for any one of them, because obviously how I've set the criteria, they're all going to be pretty close, but like all of his numbers are as good or better than the numbers. Like, he's not on this list out of charity. He's not on this list because of the endpoints. Like, his numbers over this stretch, strikeout to walk, ERA, are just as good as these other guys. It's incredible.
Yeah, I can't wait to.
And he's against the Mariners next time out, so that at least has the potential for a pretty nasty outing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Him and the big dumper.
Yeah. Love
Ooh,
that
that's
for them.
good, actually.
All right. Zack Wheeler. He's making me look like a brilliant baseball analyst. I'm very excited about that. Zack Wheeler, after his most recent outing, his most recent 9-inning, 1 hit, which happened to be a home run performance, 12 strikeouts for him. He has lowered his ERA to 2.17 in the National League. I mean, is this going to be his year finally? Like put it this way. Do you think he has a significantly easier path to the Hall of Fame if he just gets this one?
It feels like the conversation picks up a whole lot of steam.
Like if he wins one, let's just say he wins one and it's this year. Is that the difference between first ballot and having to wait 5-6 years to get in?
I don't. I mean, you got him first ballot.
I mean, he could make the case for statistically the best pitcher of his generation. No.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I just first ballot.
I mean, if you're the best pitcher of your generation, like, what are we talking about?
But that's why I think the whole conversation needs like a fundamental reshifting, because like I like where your head is at on entertaining this as a Hall of Fame candidacy moving forward. But like, it's just tough for me to have that conversation when Johan fell off the ballot with no consideration whatsoever and did it over a longer period of time. So it's like, yes, I'd like for that conversation to happen, but we just need to have kind of a reckoning, I feel like, as a voting populace for pitchers.
Well, his career WAR is nowhere close.
To Johan's?
No, to like getting in on the first ballot.
Well, it's nowhere close to Johan's, I don't think either.
It's nowhere close to Hall of Fame, period.
Right. Yeah, so that's why I like I don't think that this catapults that conversation.
Well, he's not in his final year. I'm saying where it could potentially get to. No. Like let's say he retires at like 55 career WAR or like 50, 52. You know,
even then it's going to be one Cy Young to Johan's 2. I'm just using Johan as the talking point.
Johan got fucked though. Like
I know.
If you get 2, like I don't know. So it opens up the door to a larger conversation. I think that if you win 2, you should be in. But then you have the conversation about like Tim Lincecum and Corey Kluber, guys like that, where it's like short bursts. Like are those Hall of Famers?
Well, I mean, those are, that's what you can consider a Hall of Fame stretch, which is what I think people ultimately are going to have to go to bed with and be okay with that. Like that's what that is if they were able to do that consistently for a few more years, now they have a peak that you can consider, but that didn't happen.
Yeah.
By the way, Skubal against Cal Raleigh. I mean, that's fun, man. That's an AL MVP showdown on Saturday.
That's very fun.
That will be very fun.
That is very fun.
Yeah. 2 All-Stars we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Cal Raleigh obviously starting for the American League at catcher. You got Vladdy at first. Gleyber Torres, who is just cast aside by the New York Yankees. They could really use his help right now. Playing second base. Jose Ramirez at third. Jay Willie starting shortstop for the American League All-Star team, Dallas. Wow. Aaron Judge, Riley Green, very deserving. Javi Baez. Javi Baez is starting in the outfield for the American League All-Star team in our Lord's year of 2025.
What planet are we on?
And then Ryan, happy to be here, O'Hearn, is the DH only because the Red Sox traded Rafael Devers in a salary dump. You are the DH All-Star for the American League. Then we go over to the National League here. Not a ton of surprises.
Oh, you forgot.
What?
Brent Rooker. Brent Rooker also named to the American League All-Star team.
Not starting.
No, not starting, but he's also named. Just want to get that in there.
He's the only one that should be named that's not starting, just Brent Rooker?
No, I'm sure other guys deserve
other
the
guys made
acknowledgement
it seem
too.
Right,
They're getting that from their respective
Okay.
podcasts.
All right. We were just going over the starters, and Brent Rooker not one of them, unfortunately. In the National League, Will Smith behind home plate. Freddie Freeman at first. So far, Dodgers only. Ketel Marte, Yankee fans, it's that time of the year where you just try to trade for every top player in the league. Ketel Marte is the buzzword of the week. Manny Machado, you guys thought that you were going to sign him. You didn't. He's the starting third baseman for the National League All-Star team representing the San Diego Padres. Francisco Lindor, far and away the best shortstop in New York. He's getting the start at short for the New York Mets. And then Ronald Acuna Jr., outfield PCA, Pete Crow Armstrong getting his first nod. And then another Cubby, his teammate Kyle Tucker, will be joining him in the outfield for the National League All-Star team. And then rounding out this one, it's none other than Shohei Ohtani, your DH for the National League All-Star team. The pitchers for the AL, Hunter Brown, first All-Star selection. Congratulations to him. Is this Slab Lab alum Chris Bubich?
Well,
that's Slab Lab alum Hunter Brown, and that's Slab Lab alum and the best boobs in KC. Chris
just
Chris
want to bring
Bubich.
up Hunter Brown's full episode is being released tomorrow.
So
Yes.
so not alum yet,
And,
Dallas. The fuck?
And
Well, it's an alum to Dallas because he's done his
He's
part.
done it, but it's not an alum to me. The fuck?
No, he's being released tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's Jay. Have you worked your way through it?
I have.
Solid.
I'm excited.
It's-
I'm excited, and the fans should be too. Yep.
Yes, they should.
Yeah. For the 8th time getting selected. I believe this ties. I think Kimbrel had 9. There's another like legendary name. This is as a reliever all-star selections. He's like 4th all time. His 8th all-star selection, Aroldis Chapman from the Boston Red Sox. His 2nd time going to the all-star game. It's Garrett Crochet. Then we have 5-time all-star Jacob deGrom in a renaissance year for the Texas Rangers. Max Fried, first time as an AL all-star, 3rd all-star selection overall. Josh Hader, his 6th for the Houston Astros. Yusei Kikuchi, his 2nd all-star selection. I believe he's the lone Angels representative. Andres
Slang it.
Munoz. Huh? Andres
No, the
Munoz, his 2nd all-star team for the Seattle Mariners. Tarek Skubal, his 2nd all-star game. Shane Smith, shout out Danvers, Mass. This guy was a Rule 5 draft pick, turning himself into an all-star. The lone representative from the Chicago White Sox, Shane Smith from Danvers, absolutely has been to Kowloon before. And then for the first time, Brian Wu getting the nod to round out the American League pitching staff. Then over to the National League, Jason Adam, breaking ball Jesus from the San Diego Padres, his 1st all-star selection. Matthew Boyd, how about that? How about Matthew Boyd getting his first nod to the All-Star game? Edwin Diaz of the New York Mets, his 3rd All-Star appearance. Mackenzie Gore, the aforementioned Mackenzie Gore, strikeout machine this year. His 1st All-Star selection for the Washington Nationals. Clayton Kershaw, his 11th All-Star selection. He's in it this year as the legend pick via Rob Manfred. Freddie Peralta of the Milwaukee Brewers, his 2nd All-Star game. Former Cy Young Award winner Robbie Ray from the San Francisco Giants, his 2nd All-Star game. Randy Rodriguez, he's been unbelievable for the Giants. His 1st All-Star game. Go peep those numbers. They were outstanding, or they've been outstanding for the Giants so far this year.
I just watched him. Oh,
what do you got to say about Randy?
He's nasty.
Very nasty.
He's fucking very nasty.
This one, super unfortunate. Chris Sale, not going to be pitching in this one. He's hurt right now, but his 9th All-Star selection, Paul Skeens, 2 for 2 2 years in the league, 2 years at the All-Star game. Feel like that trend will continue. His second All-Star selection for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Logan Webb of Slab Lab. Second All-Star selection. Zack Wheeler, the future Cy Young Award winner of this 2025 season for the Philadelphia Phillies, his third All-Star selection. And then for the first time, we will see Yoshinobu Yamamoto of the Los Angeles Dodgers at the All-Star game. Wow. Alejandro Kirk, a reserve as a catcher. Hunter Goodman. I know Jayhay didn't love that pick. That's the lone Rockies selection.
Probably unnecessary Hunter Goodman slander on my part, which I followed up with on the tweet. It was really more about
the process.
Yeah, the process. Go ahead, D. Yeah.
I was gonna say I said it last night on the game on air. I said, outside of guys who get filled in for substitution wise, health wise, availability, whatever, there's 3 ways to make an all-star team: to produce and to earn it, to be the best producer on a terrible team, or to have the legacy pick. Like, those are your 3 pathways, right? Outside of the other things that I mentioned. But those are your ways to win. Is to earn it, to be the best player on or the best producer on a bad team, because everybody's got to have one, or you get the pick.
And what Jared was referencing about me not being happy, like, that was really more, if I'm being honest, about stars, because Juan Soto is a better fucking player than Kyle Stowers. And the idea that I now need to be subjected to the best 3 months of his life getting honored with an all-star game, there is a part of me that likes that, because, out of nowhere stories are part of why baseball is fun. But the all-star game is a marketing event for stars. And I don't mean I do mean a marketing event in a cold, calculated way, but I also mean it in it is an opportunity for people to watch stars play baseball. And I want to see Juan Soto as an example. There are others you could cite in the all-star game, instead of a guy who is on the all-star team because of a welfare setup where every team needs to be represented. And the every team represented thing wouldn't bother me so much if it wasn't just these teams don't try to put together competitive rosters. So I don't know why. I do know why, but it is frustrating to me that we have to honor them with all-stars, even if Stowers specifically is not the most egregious example of a guy being selected for the all-star game overall. Juan Soto was the biggest story of the offseason. He signed for $750 million. He plays for the New York Mets, and he's been better in every way that anybody can measure than Stowers. And I think he should be in the all-star game. And that's why the everybody needs an all-star gets frustrating for me.
But I respect that. I can appreciate it. I appreciate the fact that Juan Soto's productivity is significantly better than Stowers, and he should be there. Understood. Is there any thought, though, and I'm talking to the man who worked for the machine, is there any thought that nobody's missing out on who Juan Soto is as a player if they don't see him get his one at bat in Atlanta this summer and move on, where Juan Soto's on a plane to go back home by the time the game is even over? Is baseball missing that? And are baseball fans missing that? Or could this also just be turned a little bit and looked at as an opportunity for the machine, Major League Baseball, to continue to try to churn out currency? Meaning, if we can put this guy's name on a national stage over the next 3 days, over the next week or whatever, and just have his name bantered about and talked about, and have him, not saying that Kyle Stowers is going to be the guy that we're talking about next year for a, for a spring training MVP hopeful. That's not what I'm telling you. But is there any thought or any appreciation for wanting to do whatever you can to have each and every franchise represented, so that goes hand in hand with the Colorado Rockies playing the Boston Red Sox every year in one way or another, so that these stars are introduced, or these good players in general, are introduced to fan bases all across the game. I think there's something to that as well.
I agree. I just,
but I want all-stars to be all-stars.
And I also don't like the number of relief pitchers that are in the game. You know, I got a lot of complaints. I also know that most of these players end up getting in the all-star game anyway, so me spending time complaining about them is a waste of time. I'm hypocritical about that too, but I'm still going to complain because it is optically ridiculous that Michael Busch is like 6th in baseball in OPS and isn't in the all-star game. Or for all the people who love to salivate over RBI, I have to hear about that all the time. How is Suzuki not in the all-star game? He leads all of baseball in RBI. He's not in the all-star game. The Cubs could have 6 players on the roster right now, conceivably.
We'll say
very,
the first dude,
very justifiably.
Say the first dude to 20, 25, and 60 before the break since Sammy?
Not an all-star. Because we have to make sure that the Miami Marlins get their representation. Because they're a money printing vessel, not a baseball team.
You have anything you want to say directly to Kyle Stowers' family right now?
Don't care about him. He's just
wow.
You know, he's just an innocent bystander.
Aggressive.
Here. Damn.
To Kyle Stowers' family, Jayhay Hypocritical Hussein does not give a shit about Kyle Stowers.
Good to see, though, that of the Orioles core, he was the one who made it to an all-star game this year. Just not, for the Orioles.
Wow.
Wow.
It's crazy. It's true, though. That's a good point.
No
Jay,
Gunner,
actually.
no Jackson, no Adley. Yep. No Kobe Mayo, no nobody. Just the guy they
postseason for the
kicked off the raft for Trevor Rogers, who, by the way, threw, I believe, 6 scoreless yesterday. So shout out to Trevor Rogers.
Yeah.
Dealing.
Let's not go crazy.
Speaking of strong Jayhay opinions, Pete Alonso, he is declining an invite to the home run derby. I mean, you are the home run derby guy. If the home run derby guy isn't going to do the home run derby, then what are we doing here?
Jared, he knows he's got a race to win. He knows he's got a jersey bet to win for his boy. And Pedro Alonso has shifted gears and he's thinking about the long haul. And I respect the shit out of that. But I also, in the same breath, cannot have the dude who is basically like extorting an all-star appearance from Major League Baseball, then declining that appearance next year. Like, I got to have you there, Polar Bear. I got to have you there. Come on. You can't. Who are you handing this torch to? Right? And that's where I know Jayhay sent this in the chat, which was Pete Alonso not the Mac McClung? Was Pete Alonso not the Mac McClung of the Derby? And now he's just not? Now he's just handing it over to somebody else? Who wants to be the Mac McClung?
Well, so 2 things. A, I don't want to hear Mr. Derby. He's not Mr. Derby, can't be Mr. Derby. That's a thing of the past. He's now just a baseball player. So,
it's over.
Yep, that run is over. Yep. He's more focused, I guess, on winning baseball games and competing for a division title. Makes you wonder what they were doing the other years. But I'm genuinely curious about the Mac McClung thing, and maybe you two are more qualified to answer this question than I am. Jared's combine perspective, I think, would be interesting here too. Is that a viable thing? Like, Mac McClung is not good enough to play in an NBA game on any sustained level, but he has a specific skill that allows him to perform at an elite level at an exhibition. Is there somebody whose raw power, who's not in the majors, and who really is, I'm not even talking about a prospect, right? I'm not talking about this guy who's in AA, Junior Caminero, like 2 years ago or whatever. I'm talking about a guy who has really no future in Major League Baseball, but has enough raw power to display in an exhibition where they could make a run at a home run derby championship against a real field. Does that person exist?
Yes.
What's Willie Mo Pena doing right now?
Waiting for that.
So that's
call.
what I'm talking about. Do you really think those guys could compete with whoever?
Yes. So I've mentioned his name before. Let me look at where he is on like the top 100 draft prospects. Like he's not a first round guy, I don't think. MLB draft prospects top 100. His name is Brandon Compton, and he plays for ASU. Where is he now? 47, Arizona State. Like, that's not a first rounder, I don't think. So if you had someone that wasn't going to go in the first round, do I think he could compete in the MLB home run derby? I do. I really do. And I don't know if Mike Eamon is back there, but he would vouch for me on this. Like, this kid would come in and hit some of the most impressive home runs in the derby. People would be like, who the fuck is this kid? And he would make a name for himself.
You saw him swing with wood?
Yes. Yep. Like,
anyway, I think it's a fun idea.
25 rows deep, like, consistently. He was getting in there with groups of kids, and they were, you might see one sneak over the wall here and there, and he was routinely just hitting them fucking 50 feet. Like, they were still 50 feet above the wall when they cleared the wall.
So I want to take this one step further. I want, like, a professional softball player to be this person.
Oh, yeah.
Like one of those big boppers that, like, has the swing down to, like, do exactly what he wants to do every time. Like, your answer is totally valid. I want somebody who's even further removed from the sport. And I want, like, because I think that's the next step for the Derby, is, like, that would be somebody that would be a rallying point. That would be somebody that, like, the entire stadium could get behind as that person tries to unseat fucking whoever, Shohei Ohtani, as the home run derby champion. Could have been Pete. Could have been Pete going for 5 straight in a couple of years against Johnny Cornhole. But I don't know. The Mac McClung thing made me think about that, but maybe someday.
Yeah, they missed the boat on this one. They missed the boat. My guy, Brandon Compton, he could win it if they just let him. If they had the balls to let him compete.
They just let him.
Good. All right, couple other news items before we get out of here. Jayhay, the Guardians have lost 10 straight games. What the fuck, dude? You know what you guys need?
The rundown.
You know what you guys need?
Mm-hmm.
Alex Verdugo gets you out of this funk.
Are you trying to be an asshole?
Alex Verdugo. By the way, I got my guy. What's his name? Drew Waters. Immediately kicked off the team after that segment.
Do you guys send him like a fucking meat basket or something like that? Like send him, some flowers?
I do apologize to him for that. I mean, it was mere seconds after the podcast dropped that the Royals were like, you know what? You're right. This guy's out of here. Like, I don't know why we're doing this.
It's kind of funny that we semi-started the podcast with the Blue Jays, including Baseball Is Dead in their cut up, which is a cool honor. Not nearly as cool as a front office taking roster decision from us. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Like, oh, wait, BID said Drew Waters kind of sucks. Like, let's get him out of here. And then he's gone.
Yeah. Well, they're probably still trying to, like, negotiate whatever prorated deal that Alex Verdugo is going to sign.
That's true. Yeah, there's a lot of money involved in that deal, I'm sure. The Guardians, tough stretch. I mean, played baseball teams that are better than them, I think, is part of the equation here. The last 6 of them, 6 L's were against the Cubs and the Tigers. Tough. This is a disgraceful Guardians team. I'm not going to waste a lot of time talking about them, but I've said it's the most boring team in probably a decade, if not more, for the Guardians. I think it's not only boring, it's sloppy. They are not a fundamentally strong team. They're not pleasing to watch in really any way you can come up with. They don't pitch particularly well. They don't hit particularly well. And obviously all of this is outside of the man, Jose Ramirez. But and I think they got what they were asking for as it relates to the way they put this club together and following up a division title with active subtractions from the team. I just don't think there's anything more disgraceful in sports than that kind of stuff, where you win and you decide that we're actually going to take our foot off the gas a little bit. And there was no real reason why they had to do that other than spending less money. Like, you didn't have to trade Josh Naylor. You didn't have to do some of these other things, and you didn't have to fill your lineup with guys who have absolutely no fucking business being Major League Baseball players. So, or at least on teams that want to be real teams and do real things. And that's my standard for the Guardians, even if it's not always the standard for themselves. So I'm excited for Shane Bieber to get back on the mound. Been looking forward to that since the Slab Lab from the offseason. But outside of that, and just watching what Joe Ram does on a nightly basis, the rest of the season is mostly about what are they going to get for bit pieces that aren't really going to return anything that matters. So nice season.
That's just deserving of a shout out to the Tigers. When I look at the division standings right now, they have a double-digit lead between them and the second place team. There is no other division that's even close to sniffing that kind of gap. You got to get to the AL West, where it's the Rangers in third place, who are 11 games out. And it's the AL Central right now, the Twins 13 and a half back in second place. I mean, is this the earliest it feels like the division has been wrapped up?
Well, I don't want to do history lessons, but I would invite anybody to go back and look at when Cleveland dominated the division and see how many games they were winning the AL Central by back in the day. But
I was going to say in the 90s.
Yeah. But no, this is going to be a laugher. I think all four other teams are going to be versions of selling. Maybe the Royals will try and do a little bit of both, but it's going to be selling. And by the way, you brought up the West. Yeah. Maybe not for the fans of the Mariners, Giants, and Padres, but holy shit, did those leads get to 7 games in the blink of an eye. Like, quickly. The AL West is fucking over. It's over.
Quickly.
It's 7 games. The Astros are up 7 games on the Mariners now. Do you see the Mariners coming back from a 7-game deficit?
Dude, I mean, the only way that their saving grace, Jayhay, is honestly the fact that if they can pitch, if they can just continue.
I don't want to hear about their pitching anymore. I'm so tired of it.
Well, it is. I mean, that is going to be the reason that lead, wherever it's at right now, either shrinks or stays the same until they get fully healthy. But it's
Kirby shoved last night.
What's that?
Kirby shoved last night.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not going to be because that offense is just all of a sudden kicking the shit out of people. Just not.
Yeah. Last thing for me, Brandon Woodruff's back. I saw the Brewers posted a really cool hype video of him talking about when he originally got hurt and loving the clubhouse, and he signed back there to be able to rehab with the Brewers so he could still be a part of what they have going on. He came back and went 6 innings, allowed 2 hits. One of those was a home run, but it was just a 1 run, punched out 8. Hell of a return for Brandon Woodruff, who is a 2-time All-Star himself and has finished in the top 5 in Cy Young voting as recently as 2021. So that's pretty cool. Pretty cool to have Brandon Woodruff back to add to Freddie Peralta, an All-Star.
This is going to time out perfectly. Knock at my door is about to come any minute.
Oh, wow. Look at that. Jayhay, any
That's
nugs?
Just well produced. Yeah. Do we have time? Can I get it? Yeah. The gap in OPS between Pete Alonso and Juan Soto, quick little update for DB, is down to 19 points. 923 to 904. So I think you are in big trouble. James Wood is the 4th player. Just for reference, it was 186 points on May 29th.
That's why he says no to the Derby, Jayhay. He knows what's coming.
He needs to get it figured out. James Wood, we talked about him earlier. He's the 4th player. He's now played 90 games this season. Nice round number. 4th player, age 22 or younger, to rack up at least 23 homers and 12 stolen bases through the first 90 games of a season in the wild card era. And it's the names you are expecting. A-Rod, 98, Acuna, 18, Tatis, 21. Michael Busch, he's now up to a 170 OPS plus, guys. Michael Busch, 170 OPS plus. Here are the NL first basemen to post an OPS plus of 170 or greater in a single season in the wild card era. This is it. McGuire, Pujols, Freeman, Bagwell, Goldschmidt, Votto, and that one Derek Lee season that we all loved. That's the standard that Michael Busch is currently sporting right now. Blue Jays, we talked about them again. We've talked about them a lot. I brought up how, in my opinion, their greatest strength is their avoidance of giving playing time to bad players. I looked it up this morning. There are 33 AL batters who have produced at least 2 F WAR this season. 5 of those players are on the Blue Jays, which is about 2.5 times what you would expect percentage-wise with that number of players or teams in the league. The Cubs, they are doing some pretty cool stuff right now. Sorry, let me find it. There has been no instances in Major League Baseball history where a team has had 4 players have an OPS of 145 or higher, OPS plus of 145 or higher. The Cubs had that at the time over the weekend. PCA has now dropped down to 140, but the instances of 3 players with 145 or better in the same season, which they still have with Busch, Suzuki, and Tucker, here are the best trios in the wild card era by that standard. The 15 Blue Jays were the last team to do that with Bautista, Donaldson, and EE. The 11 Cardinals, Pujols, Holiday, Berkman. 11 Red Sox, Ortiz, AG, Ellsbury. 04 Cardinals, Edmonds, Pujols, Roland. 01 Cleveland, Roberto Alomar, Juan Gonzalez, Jim Thome. 2000 Astros, Alou, Bagwell, Hidalgo. 96 Mariners, Griffey, Edgar, A-Rod. And then both the 95 and the 96 Cleveland team, both years, Bell, Manny, Thome. God damn, that makes me both happy and sick to say at the same time. But that's currently what the Cubs offense is doing. And if they could get to 4, they'll be the first team in Major League Baseball history to do that. Now for the pitching side. Zack Wheeler, who I believe we didn't give a proper tongue bath to, and I'm sorry about that.
We'll get into that.
Okay.
I'll get to that.
Okay, that's going to be your final thought here. Zack Wheeler joins Pedro Martinez on September 10th, 1999, as the only pitchers in MLB history to have a complete game featuring 0 walks, 12 or more strikeouts, and have the only hit surrendered be a home run. So basically a home run away from a potential perfect game. And then Skubal, AL left-handed pitchers with 6 or more starts of 10 plus strikeouts and 0-1 walks within a single season. Johan did that in 3 straight seasons from 04 to 06. Price in 14, Sale in 15, 17, 18, and 19. Robbie Ray in 21, and Skubal this year. He is the 4th left-handed pitcher in Major League Baseball history to have consecutive starts featuring 0 runs, 0 or 1 walks, and 3 or fewer hits and 10 or more strikeouts, joining Rube Waddell in 1907, Clayton Kershaw in 2015, and James Paxton in 2019. James Paxton sticking out like a sore thumb there. And finally, he's the 4th left-handed pitcher in MLB history to have at least 3 starts in a single season featuring 0 runs, 0 walks, and 10 or more strikeouts, joining Sandy Koufax in 65, Randy in 04, and Kershaw in 15, and those are the Nuggs.
Thank you, Justin Havens.
The award-winning Nuggs.
Yes, the award-winning Nuggs.
That's right.
Dallas Braden, do you have any final thoughts today?
Yeah, just want to go through Zack Wheeler's outing because I talked about how Tarek Skubal went about his business and how heavily upon the changeup fastball combination he relied and the success. The fact that you have a guy like Zack Wheeler who is garnering the same sort of, and I guess I'll say deception with a different pitch, the fastball. This is how his arsenal broke down in that complete game stellar outing against the Reds. He threw 46 four-seam fastballs, 34 for strikes. He got 27 swings on that pitch, 13 swing and misses. That led to 7 strikeouts on that pitch alone. Two-seam fastball, 26 pitches he threw. 18 of those 26 were for strikes, 13 swings on that pitch. And now here is one of the finest examples of utilizing a pitch exactly for what it may be intended for based on your specific arsenal. Wheeler has the four-seam fastball that he can run up top, that he can run in. He's got a two-seamer, sinker, that he can go to when he needs to in terms of being behind in the count, needing to get back into the count. The 13 swings, just 1 swing and miss, but they were 0 for 9. on the pitch. So you can see how he's utilizing just two different fastballs, but almost like for reasons they're intended for based on what he's featuring. Because he throws 3 different fastballs, and that cutter he only threw 6 times, but each and every time he threw it, it was for a strike. He got 4 swings on it. They were 0 for 3 against it. So on the fastballs alone, you're watching Zack Wheeler. If you just close your eyes and think about a straight 4-seam fastball, and then you think about a sinking fastball or a 2-seamer, and then you think about a cutter, right? Now start to think about that logo, the fleur-de-lis, the Saints NFL logo, for those who don't know what a fleur-de-lis is. You're thinking about 3 different directions coming out of the same tunnel. Good luck with that. The curveball he threw 9 times, 4 of those were for strikes. He got 2 swings on those. They swung and missed at both of those. The sweeper, 19 times he threw that, 11 times for strikes. They swung at that pitch 8 times. They swung and missed at that pitch 6 times. They were 0 for on the 2-seamer, on the cutter, on the curve, on the sweeper, and even fucked around and threw a split. Well, a couple of them actually. Guess what? One of them for strikes. He's just out there like inventing shit, having so much fun just throwing the fastball that he almost got lost in space and was like, oh, you know what? I've got some other fun shit to play with too.
It's going to be amazing if he suffers another Cy Young heartbreak.
It's going to absolutely suck. And something that I did want to do, we talked about a little bit with the Blue Jays, but then we kind of went off on a tangent there and didn't really get back to why they've had the success they've had since their run, their 8-game win streak. That did start with the last game against Boston. That was June 29th. Since then, hitting .273 as a club, that's 6th in baseball. Their 13 home runs over that stretch are tied for 2nd with Seattle and Arizona. Their .812 OPS collectively is 5th in baseball. Their bullpen, 2.83 ERA. The starters, a marginal, I think like 4.5 ERA or whatever it is. I forget about it. Springer, though, during that time, in 12 at-bats, he's got 2 homers, 8 RBIs. He's hitting a cool 5 hundo during this run. Nathaniel Lukes, in his action, 11 at-bats, he's hitting .455. Davis Schneider, .375. And Mr. Barger, who I told you all about, hitting .308 during this stretch as well. Ernie Clement doing his job at .286. But what's not happening is you're not getting much love and much productivity out of Flo Bichette or Vlad Cakes. Bo hitting .200 with no damage, just 1 RBI, and Vlad Cakes, no damage. He's got a couple RBIs, and that's it. Alejandro Kirk, same thing, non-existent. But the Blue Jays persist.
My final thought, Roman Anthony's heating up. Last 9 games. 359, 405 on base, 487 slug. That's an 892 OPS. 5 doubles. Still waiting on that first Fenway homer, though. 14 for 39, 5 doubles, driven in 4. Love that. Love that for the Sox. Love that for you guys. What an episode today. What an episode.
What a great one.
Yeah. An award-winning episode, some may say. Very
excited. It's been acknowledged as such.
Yeah, it sure has. We'll be back on Wednesday for some more Baseball is Dead. All your favorite stories. Congratulations to Justin Havens on winning his Emmy for best podcast segment in sports history. There it is. It's beautiful. All right, we'll be back here on Wednesday for more BID. We'll see you then.
Wow.